Oh, this, and this is hopefully my last and final argument before I'm gone for 3 weeks. So, the last argument I'm going to talk about is the hardware on the PC gaming market. Now, if you look at a Mac, and if you look at most Linux machines, and this is where it really falls apart, is on the most of the Linux machines and why they're not working with DirectX, or I mean, not working well with most games. And there's an actual reason why. But anyways, if you look at a Mac, look at most Linux machines, and you look at all the gaming consoles out right now, including the Xbox 360, they're all the same. Yeah, they are all identical in graphics capabilities. So to say that you can't run, that Apple doesn't run a 3D graphics engine machine is entirely bullshit, because your Xbox 360 is pretty much doing the exact same job as an Apple. It's all the same. And in graphics capabilities, the one that is not the same in hardware is Windows machines. And how come Windows machines are not the same in hardware, and most Linux and Linux machines are having a problem running DirectX stuff? Well, the problem isn't really in the hardware, or the main hardware, the motherboard, or all that, or in the processor. It's in the graphics cards. And this was actually illustrated in the previous Mr. Bit video, in which he said, and this is why Apple doesn't have the latest and greatest graphics cards as well, is quite simply, and here's the shocker, they're not configured for OpenGL. The NVIDIA graphics cards, most of the ATI graphics cards are not configured. See, the thing is why Linux and most Linux users are having problems with their Linux machines is quite basically, and I bet this happens quite a lot, is that when they remove Windows from their machine and put in a Linux or any of the Linux distros, and can't run their games on it very well, is because they didn't swap out the graphics card. Because the graphics card that's in there that is running the Windows games is configured for DirectX, not OpenGL. That is the difference. See, most graphics cards that come out today come out DirectX configured first, and then later they are reconfigured for OpenGL, which means they can run on even Apple. But you have to honestly look at the configurations to make sure that it's properly configured for an OpenGL graphics engine or a DirectX. That is the one main problem. See, and everybody was all complaining about the NVIDIA 8800, I believe, and saying like, why isn't it out yet? Why isn't it out yet? Well, it wasn't configured for OpenGL. See, that's the main problem. There's no special configurations for the Mac. I can take any OpenGL card and pretty much run it on my Mac Pro, and it will run just fine. But the problem is that if I put the latest and greatest engine into my Mac that is configured solely for the purpose of DirectX, it is not going to work very well. And that's why most people are even having problems with their Linux or Linux or Unix boxes, because they have a graphics card that is configured for DirectX, but not configured properly for, or at all, for OpenGL. And most people don't look at that fact. They don't look at it at all. And then they just say, oh, Apple hardware sucks. Or, Apple can't do graphics. When quite basically, it's the company that makes the graphics card didn't do anything, didn't convert it to an OpenGL configuration to allow it to work. And that's why consoles are even behind on the hardware, because it's all got to be approved and run through a DirectX basis first, thanks to the wondrous works of Microsoft. So, I hope this lets you understand why, even the hardware argument is a failure.